Welcome to Two Hypnotherapists Talking with me, Denise Mejia, in Delaware, USA.
And me, Martin Ferber, in Preston, UK.
This weekly podcast is for anyone and everyone who'd like to know more about the fascinating subject of hypnosis and the benefits it offers.
I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and psychotherapist.
I'm a retired medical doctor turned consulting hypnotist.
We are Two Hypnotherapists Talking.
So let's get on with the episode.
Let's get on with the show indeed. And this week's episode is a special episode, a special bonus episode dedicated to the recent Dave Elman Conference that was held worldwide on the web.
Here we are again.
Gosh, really?
I know. And this year's going so quickly because it's a few weeks ago now. You were presenting at the Dave Elman Hypnotherapy Conference, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is it Dave Elman Legacy Conference? I think it's giving its full title.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, for those of our viewers and listeners who don't know who Dave Elman is, don't have a clue, do you want to enlighten them?
Dave Elman was a huge influence on hypnosis, used for medicine and dentistry back in the 30s through the 50s. He taught so many doctors and dentists how to use aspects of hypnosis, and yet he himself came from a vaudeville background.
Right, okay.
Just fascinating. But anyway, his son and daughter-in-law have resurrected his name and have a school, the Dave Elman Hypnosis Institute, based in there, North Carolina. And they've started this conference. This was the third year. It's online, which is fantastic because they have people from all over the world attending and speaking.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking through the speakers, and it seems to me there were about 90 people on there speaking that weekend. Yeah, wow, from all over the world and from all kinds of hypnosis and hypnosis adjacent things as well. But I'm just looking at this particular one here, Denise Mejia, consulting hypnotist.
Oh, shush.
What were you talking about?
Scope of practice. That's my hobby horse.
Right, okay.
That's my hobby horse. It really is. I feel very strongly that we need to make sure that we're not replacing anything with hypnosis. Hypnosis is an adjunct to other things. Yes, okay, if you want to lose weight, you don't have to do anything else except hypnosis, other than stop eating the wrong things. The hypnosis can help you to eat the right things. You don't have to be seeing an obesity doctor in order to be seen for that. But you had mentioned before we got on this call, you'd mentioned Gary, who's presenting his work within oncology. Obviously, he's not an oncologist.
No.
He's a guy with a master's level degree in hypnosis and loves to work with that population. He's clearly able to do lots of other things too, but that's why I took this every time I go to a Facebook group or something and I read, and people are saying, oh, why do I have to talk to the doctor? Because you don't know what else might be going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Plus, if we really want doctors to start respecting us, we need to give it back the other way too.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, we do. We need to give them the respect they absolutely deserve. And also, so many doctors, just have a limited knowledge of or understanding of hypnotherapy.
Most human beings, that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one particular GP I wrote to on behalf of a patient, I said this patient will be embarking on a course of solution-focused hypnotherapy. And I explained to them what that meant. And they actually wrote back saying, thank you for this full explanation. Because I explained, what the sessions sort of comprise of. And they wrote me a nice letter back. I think I showed it you at the time, saying thank you for this full explanation. Now I'm just looking at the list of speakers at this conference. So there were like 2 or 3 different speakers on at the same time.
Just the keynote
on different channels. Yeah.
And what I really love about it is there's a cafe which runs 24 hours a day because we've got all the time zones, right?
Okay.
But you can drop into the cafe at any time and chat with other people who, maybe none of the particular talks are what you need to do right now. And most of us end up buying from them as a slight uptick in the price you get all of the the recordings and the transcription for the recordings.
Right. Okay.
A little bit later from the conference.
And could you virtual table hop in this cafe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
no. It is usually just one table. I mean, there's
right. Okay.
Somebody plays barista.
Mm.
And there's a tech person who's also there to handle the people moving in and out for having
Okay.
trouble. And then whoever drops in.
Right, I'm with you. So it's just one room that they call a cafe. I was on a similar thing year before last with National Council for Hypnotherapy in the UK. And they had like a virtual cafe, but there were different tables and you could see who was on each one and you could table hop.
I've seen it. I wouldn't be surprised to find that they can do that, but we didn't have so many people at one time that it was an issue. I've gone to conferences, particularly for that big doctors group I'm in. They've used variations of that.
Okay.
But it can be hard to jump, and that's not really the point of this conversation. Maybe we should do a tech conversation sometime.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah. So this conference is really incredible value for money. I don't know what next year's price will be, so I won't say the price, but it's for 3 very full days. It's 12 hours a day.
That's a lot.
3 solid days. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
But if you buy the full ticket, you get all the recordings as well, so you can watch them at leisure, because otherwise you overload.
Exactly, which is why it's okay. You're going to get the tape anyway. You can go to the cafe, or you can chase the guy that was just talking to find out what they were saying.
Yeah.
I mean, not what they were, but oh, sorry, I couldn't come to yours. Can you talk about it now?
So the keynote speakers, the presenters, they're in the cafe at certain times, are they as well? So you can ask if you've got an individual question or something. You can just ask freely.
Right.
Oh, that's good. That's handy.
Yeah,
so,
it's very good.
Okay, are there any particular? I know I'm not asking you to single out the best or anything like that, but were there any particular standout speakers for you who perhaps talked about a subject we've never covered or something that piqued your interest?
Robert, who spoke about his transition from female to male and various aspects of that. That was really interesting. It's one of the more unusual things, but he's a hypnotist. And Larry, of course, told stories about his dad, which is great.
Yeah.
Our old friend Sheila Granger was speaking.
Oh, was Sheila there?
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to say hello?
I didn't. I think she was, because of the time difference, I think probably. Different times. Sharon was there.
And was our mutual friend, Sue Peacock, there?
She was.
Yeah, oh, brilliant.
No, that was last year. She wasn't there this year. And she may have hopped in as a guest, but she wasn't speaking.
Right, okay.
I think she's about to launch something pretty big, so I think that's probably why. You do have to tell them you're going to be part of it back in the summer, so they can gradually push things along. Who else was there? Heather, who was a guest last season.
Heather. Yeah,
Heather was there. But it's really interesting because there are a few people who do stage hypnosis, and they are sometimes talking. There were a couple of things. That's not my thing, but
mine neither.
You can, But Jason was there talking about the business side.
Oh, right,
of hypnosis. Anyway, it is a really good conference. And was it season 2? Gosh, it's a long time. Larry and Cheryl were in talking about the conference.
They were, yeah.
Right. And that was last year. So it basically, it's very unlikely it wouldn't be in January of next year. So save your pennies, any hypnotists. I think for somebody who's not a hypnotist, you'd have to have a phenomenal interest in hypnosis to go to a 3-day, 12 hours a day conference.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking through the list, and a lot of people there, a lot of the speakers seem to have honed in on one particular aspect of hypnosis, and concentrate on that and make that their sort of field of speciality, if you like, for want of a better description.
Well, that's what all the business people definitely tell you. You want to be not a jack of all trades. We can all do general hypnosis, but you need one thing that's really your thing. It makes it marketing, makes it easier. And then you have what, if you remember last year, it was the year before last, client who came, got his major problem fixed right away, and who came back, a week later, said, "Do you do weight?" We already had doctors, okay, so we just carried on.
Yeah.
But that was the reason that I was talking there. It's just to tell people, doctors like to know what's going on in their patients' lives, and plus there will be doctors who you are telling a new thing to that they haven't been exposed to
Exactly.
hypnosis, and then you can get referrals.
Well, exactly, because they weren't told it in med school. It's the same with the GP in terms of CBT, for example. Okay, they may know, obviously they will know the term CBT, but can they give you a reasonable description? Can they give a patient a reasonable description of it, other than to tell them it's to do with the thoughts and behaviours? Maybe not.
I don't know. I think sometimes, I'm sure they could give a fairly good one. It's been around for a while, but everybody's got their own take on what they do. Right? I tend to think of this is hypnosis technician, me speaking.
Yeah.
But the patient, client in our case, is the one that's really doing things. So I think it probably makes more sense to have the bulk of the explanation done by the therapists themselves, if they're speaking. And what we really want is the doctors to be able to say, "This has helped a lot of people. Why don't you give it a shot?"
Yeah.
Because there is no guarantee that something was working.
No.
Just that, the last 3 people may have lost weight and had wonderful experience with my method. Others might have done better with you, and that's fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we've discussed this quite a few times now, haven't we, as well, about it's that rapport with the client. And we do, as people, we make an instant judgment when we see somebody or when we see a photograph. That's part of our defense mechanism, isn't it? It's what stopped us getting attacked by our neighbors when we were running around in the jungle or living in caves. We had to make an instant judgment, didn't we, on every person we met. Were we safe? Were they friend or foe? And we still do it to some degree.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's important we all have our pictures on our websites and that kind of thing, because people do get drawn towards people, don't they? Even though we may make serious sort of misconceptions. For example, we look at people and may assume they have a certain accent or...
This is not to do with the conference, although I could. I was in one of my daughter's groups and somebody posted a whole bunch of headshots that didn't exactly look like they were the same person, but they sort of did. And she said, "This are the AI generated headshots. Apparently, there's a lot of that going on too."
Oh, right.
But she said there wasn't one person who looked like her. Even the hair was the same color and more or less the same length, but combed differently. The face was different, and almost everybody said, "You look about 12." If you want to be aged for your professional experience, it's hard to be a young female physician without being made to look 12 as well.
Oh, I've never thought of using AI to generate an image. Now, as long as I've got my filter on so you can't see my lines, I'm happy. All right, I'm just looking through the list of people though that were at this conference, and one that jumped out at me was a Dr. Terry McIver, Bachelor of Science, Biochemistry, Doctor of Philosophy and Education.
I didn't go to hers because there was something that was competing with it, but I will listen to the audio when I get the tape. Yeah.
Right. Okay. See, now, talk about making assumptions instantly. Here we go. What is it you call it? Sort of that inbuilt bias. I see Dr. Terry McIver.
Unconscious bias.
I think
medicine.
Male. I think male.
Oh, Terry, yeah.
And I should know far better than that talking to you, shouldn't I? No, yeah.
There's more women in medical school now than there are men.
I believe so, yeah. And well, there are more women than there are men.
Right. As proportional representation,
Yeah. So Dr. Terry McIver, and my mass apologies to you for assuming you were male, sorry. No, she's written about the brain science behind trance, and this is something that always piques my interest, even though I can't explain it fully or as eloquently as she can. I actually like it, and she's talking here about explaining the neuroscience behind various brain regions and you know all the processes involved in hypnotherapy. And again, she's been taking a detailed look at how brainwave activity is altered during hypnotherapy and putting that science there, because you know people, how often do we hear it? People say, "Oh, pseudoscience, mumbo jumbo,"
Right.
and you know. With this imaging now, of course, you know, seeing the heightened activity in certain brain regions during hypnotherapy, but also particularly the talking about certain things being illuminated during periods of suggestibility. Now that to me, then that gets really interesting.
Yeah, I told you, magic, when it's working magic, when it's explained, is science. That's the thing. Yeah.
So it's
And what
like,
is particularly lovely about hypnosis is that your clients can learn to do this for themselves. Not that they wouldn't necessarily, I know how to color my hair. If I ever decide to do it again, I'll probably have somebody else do it for me. But it isn't that you have a client and you're going to milk it and they come to you every week forever and ever and ever because they've always got something they want to talk about. It is, you can teach them to do most of this for themselves, because all hypnosis is essentially self-hypnosis. We just know how to get people to that point.
yeah.
What I really love about this conference is the array of hypnotists that I wouldn't otherwise speak to. I spoke to several people in Belgium, one in Germany. I spoke to somebody in Brazil. I spoke to somebody in Lebanon. It's just a wonderful opportunity to get to hear about how hypnosis is.
Who did you speak to in
people.
Belgium?
Can't remember his last name.
Rob de Groef.
No, I spoke to him before.
Yeah.
I met him before.
Yeah.
No, the other guy is it Peter?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway.
Rob's the only one I know.
Yeah, I know that the person in Lebanon's first name is Daniel, because I thought his last name is not the gentleman who was on our show last time.
Right.
Time before last, season 3. But yeah, I mean that's my real interest in going to conferences. I mean, I go there to beat my drum about please do the right things for the right reason and talk to doctors. But it really is the closest thing you can have to a real conference where you physically go and meet, and you'd never get that number of people.
No.
You might get 90 people listening to somebody talk, but you wouldn't get 90 people talking.
No, and you wouldn't get that variety from over the world. It would just be impossible, wouldn't it? You might have one keynote. Say, if it was held in this country, you might get one keynote speaker from the States. That would be it.
Right, exactly.
You're not going to get
or one Aussie. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just looking here, people from Australia, Romania, Romanian Hypnosis Association. You know, things like that. People from those areas would fascinate me as well, to hear their outlook on things, the perception in society of hypnosis, where they come from. For example, if you remember in last series, we had Daniel in Iran, and that was fascinating. You know, how he had to shield some of it, what he was doing, from certain parties over there. And yet within the university where it was based, it was a big thing, wasn't it? Hypnosis.
Yeah.
For healthcare. So getting these worldly perspectives from other people, I find that interesting. I'm just having a look.
It's also really good if you find somebody who comes across you but isn't a native English speaker. You have an amazing array of people that you now know you can refer to, because they all work online. So if I have a German, somebody who thinks much more commonly in German than they speak, I would have them see one of the many people that were representing Germany in the school, or the other German. Austria, of course, is also a German-speaking country. But I'm absolutely fascinated. There's a neurosurgeon in Brazil who's presented at all 3 of these conferences.
Okay.
I mean, it blows my mind that why don't we know this? Why is it so much more accepted in some places than in others?
Do you know what would really interest me is the language structures used within the hypnosis language patterns that we used in different languages, because, for example, you speak Spanish, I can speak Portuguese, and they're two Latino language where it's adjective after noun, and the phraseology of questions is very different from how we do things in English. So therefore, the language patterns they use to hypnotize people would be somewhat different, wouldn't they?
Right.
You know, some of the things we say to people, some of the questions we pose whilst they're in trance, to just sort of, just tickle that subconscious part of the mind.
I don't know how, it seems to me that I speak to lots of people around the world all the time, and you can usually tell a non-English speaking person who's somebody who's already got a doctorate, but English is not their first, they're not completely bilingual, which doesn't mean I speak two languages. It means you speak both of those equally. It
means you speak and think in two languages.
Yeah, exactly. But even people who can do that, they'll still make the odd mistake when it's to do with that one way first, one way after. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now. So I had somebody write something up for me, and she is Macedonian, speaks German and English. Okay. And it wasn't incorrect, but it sounded funny to the little voice in my head that was reading.
Didn't quite flow perfectly. Yeah,
right. And that's what I would worry about within hypnosis. Not that it would do any harm, but that it would, bring them up a little bit, and it would be harder for them to get benefit from the account. Not that I'm opposed to speaking to people in English who don't speak English as their first language, but you want the best experience for them.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But many, that would be the case.
Yeah, to do it in a different language, you need to be able to think in that language. Absolutely, you do, because part of what we do is as we send the mind into relaxation, we're bypassing that critical factor, aren't we? And if somebody's having to rejig your phraseology in their head, they're not going to go down very easily, are they?
Yeah, well, they might go down, but they would suddenly be awoke, and it would probably be the same experience as when a guy built the fire on the beach and woke me up.
I'm just looking at another speaker here, and forgive me if I pronounce this incorrectly, Helena Jenichen or Jenichen, I'm not sure how one pronounce that surname, talking about one of our favourite subjects that we covered recently, IBS.
Oh yes.
But she's going into it in terms of the gut brain miscommunication, and she's talking about rapid relief from IBS. So that would have interested me, and she's from Canada. Wow, yeah, absolutely all over.
Or in the UK, there's Gary Coles, who talks about oncology. That's his thing. He works with chemo patients, and
Well, the thing that jumped out at me from his bio I was reading was that he holds a Master of Science in hypnotherapy.
Yeah, it's not that, the problem is a university can only teach that which they have A, instructors for, and B, funds for. And there aren't that many people
saying,
I need masters in hypnosis. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm rather surprised that it isn't part of a branch within psychology degree that you couldn't get, because it doesn't take a lot of time to learn the basics of hypnosis.
No, and the other side of it that we learn to do our pre-talks with, a lot of the stuff that I covered and you've covered as well, all the stuff we pack into our pre-talk, it's all psychotherapy, isn't it? Hypnotherapy is a psychotherapy.
Don't say that over here. They'll come
not over there, but I'm in England. Come see me, y'all. But it's, as I say, if somebody was doing it, as you say, as part of a psychology degree, there wouldn't be that much learning for them to do. It would be more techniques, because the rest of it they would already know as part of the psychology, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, we did all.
It would seem a natural thing to do for when a university. I think there were like 5 people within his group. Just seems like it feels like they're missing a trick. I don't know what year that was. It may have, we've got this becomes popular, then it goes away again, probably because people overpromise and underdeliver. So don't. This works for so many people. Why couldn't it work for you? Yeah. I think you should come next year.
Maybe
You should
I will.
speak next year.
Speak? What would you like me to speak about?
I don't know. We'll talk about that off the record.
Okay, watch this space. Right, Denise, we're at the end of the show, and we've just been waffling on about your conference.
So nobody who listens to this show will be at all surprised by that. And they always can talk to either of us by go to our websites and book a call. We'll talk about this if this is what you want to hear about.
Yeah, absolutely.
We hope you've enjoyed listening. Please remember, this podcast is designed to give you an insight into therapeutic hypnosis and is for educational purposes only. So remember, consult with your own healthcare professional if you think something you've heard may apply to you or a loved one.
If you found this episode useful, you can apply for free continuing professional development or CME credits using the link provided in the show notes. Feel free to contact either of us through the links in the show notes. Join us again next week.